Welcome, first of all, to my midweek Chinese takeaway cook-along. Tonight's dish, we're doing the mushroom lo mein from my veggie Chinese takeaway cookbook, and we're listening to an Apple playlist for summertime music. The ingredients for tonight's dish, I'm going to start off with the fresh so you can get those prepped up. So we have a bowl of mushrooms. The recipe asked for portobello. I didn't have portobello. These are button mushrooms or just normal field mushrooms. Just go and chop those up. We have 1 carrot chopped into batons. Now when we cook chow mein, we try and keep the vegetables the same shape as the noodle. So if you can see that. So and that's why they're cut in this particular shape. I've got the top of 1 green spring onion, which again I've just chopped in half, and then I've chopped into slithers. 1 garlic clove. We talk about Cantonese cuisine. If it's a Cantonese dish, it tends to have garlic, ginger and spring onion in. This has got garlic and spring onion. If you want to use baby corn, go and use some baby corn and water chestnuts. If I'm completely honest, I'm not a massive fan of either, so I'm not going to put them in, but I thought I'd bring it out to the garage so you can see that. If you do have it, get those chopped into the same shape, just into bite-sized pieces but in slithers. Okay. For the dries, we have a 1/4 teaspoon or about 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 5 spice. So there's 1 teaspoon of mixed 5 spice. Okay, in here. Again, if you haven't got one of these ingredients, you just leave it out. It really is that simple. We have some oyster sauce. Now, obviously, for the veggie book, we use a mushroom stir-fry sauce. It's not the easiest thing to get hold of, the mushroom stir-fry sauce. I do teach you how to make it in the back of the book. But if you have oyster sauce and you're not a vegetarian, by all means, go and get your oyster sauce, and you want about 2 tablespoons. We have 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce. Remember the lo mein, which is the difference to the chow mein. Chow mein meaning fried noodles. Lo mein is a wet noodle, so it will be it's supposed to be wetter. Mine might not, because I've got 2 nest of noodles here because I'm hungry. But the recipe only calls for 1 nest of noodles, I think. We have 1 tablespoon of rice wine. If you don't have rice wine, you can use sherry, a sweet sherry, or even a little bit of red wine will work as well. We have 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. This is rice vinegar, but if you don't have rice vinegar, you can use white vinegar. Don't use Sarson's malt vinegar, it's going to be too strong. Just leave it out if you don't have it. Where are we? And then we have sesame oil to season at the end, and some oil. Like I said, normally at this point now, I'll be chopping as I'm going through this, and I've pre-prepped. So get chopping away, guys. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll cook. So we've got a bit of Johnny Mathis playing now, so we've gone retro old school, which is perfect for me. Even as a child, my mum and dad, my brother was getting Adamant as on cassette. I had Buddy Holly. That just says everything really, doesn't it? Chalk and cheese me, well, we're very similar, but Gok is a lot more loud. Hence, if you watch any of his DJ sets and Dancing Away, you can see that. I'm going to get my wok on now, because I need to get some heat into this wok as always. So I'll just stick that on for another minute and so, just while you're getting yourself sorted out. If you're still chopping, go and get your wok on. Let's get it nice and hot, because this is a fried noodle dish, so it likes the heat, and we can have a play with it then. So my wok's just starting to smoke, so we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil. This is just normal vegetable oil. So into the wok it goes, and to this I'm going to get my spring onion and my garlic, and I'm going to fry these for about 20-30 seconds, just until I get some fragrance in the air. Obviously I've just got to be careful because the wok is hot and I don't want to burn, so I'll just keep it moving. So straight away that I'm getting that smell now coming through. I'm going to add my carrots, and I'm going to add my mushrooms. This is really quick. So, and we're just going to fry these off just for a minute or so. If you're adding your baby corn and water chestnuts, if you're cooking at home, and chances are you've got a bigger flame than I have, so give this about 20-30 seconds, just let the mushrooms and carrots soften, and then add your baby corn and water chestnuts, okay? see they're starting to brown already. Now I'm going to add another squirt of oil because the mushrooms have sucked up all that oil and I need to fry up these noodles in a second. Okay, so carrots, mushrooms are nicely softened. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some noodles. So I'm going to add about, well, just over a nest of noodles these are. And I'm just going to separate this as I put them in. And I'm just going to give it a quick toss. Make sure they're covered. Right, that can take just a little bit more noodle. I'm not going to put all these in because I have got too much actually. And I don't want to crowd the pan too much. Okay, so my noodles are now starting to soften into the carrots and the mushrooms. I'm now going to add my dry ingredients. Okay, so I have about a teaspoon of white pepper. I'm not going to put all of this in because I've got a little bit more in here, just so I can pinch it through. That's going to give me that background heat. I'm going to add a bit of sugar because it is about balancing spicy and sweet and salty all together. And then my teaspoon of 5 spice. So in that goes. I'll just give that a good mix. Now I don't want to add the wets until my noodles have fried a little bit, because I still want to try and get that charred flavour on the noodles. You know, we talk about this I think every week when we do these cook-alongs, that Chinese cooking is all about that heat control in the wok. And we want to get that caramelisation because that brings out those natural sweetnesses and the texture. It's really important. Now, these noodles, especially these ones, this is like a Lucky Boat brand. These are pre-cooked and dried, and then all I've had to do is soak them in boiling water for about 5 minutes, and they soften or drain even, and allow to fully cool and dry, so they're nice and soft. But they've got a natural spring to them. They're quite elastic, if you can see that. And they're chewy. They're cooked already, so you can eat them straight like this. So I've got that chewiness, and I've got the, I suppose, that al dente bite to the noodle. So what I'm trying to do now is get that crispiness on the noodle just before I add the liquid. Now I can add, actually I'm going to add my rice wine first. So this is going to add that fermented, sort of like a little bit of pungency and obviously a little tiny bit of background. But by adding it in at this stage now, literally it cooks through the noodles quickly and then the alcohol evaporates off of it. So there's that. Then I'm going to add my vinegar. So again, that's another tablespoon of vinegar and a tablespoon of rice wine. Now I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, or mushroom stir-fry sauce if you have it. Followed by my soy sauce, and that's 2 tablespoons of soy sauce as well. Now straight away the noodles have changed from like a very dry, and again lo mein is a wet dish, it's a wet noodle dish. You can see the steam coming off of that. The veggies are nice and soft. I've got all those background aromats coming through. I've got the garlic, the spring onion, the 5 spice, the oyster sauce with that umami flavour. I've got the sugar for sweetness. And you're not going to believe this, guys. We're finished. We're done. Off that goes. Let's clear my chopping board. Now, I've switched the wok off, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of sesame oil, just for that background seasoning. Give it a quick mix, and then I'm going to tip this into my bowl. You know, when we get out of lockdown and you guys are going to go back to work, and you're thinking, oh, what am I going to have for tea tonight? So take out the 5 minutes that it's going to take to cook the noodle, which is an extra 5 minutes, and then about 10 minutes to let it drain and cool, and you can start cooking this dish. So add 10 minutes to what we've just done. What time is it now? So that was about 10 minutes. So in 20 minutes, you can have a bowl of mushroom lo mein, cooked, fresh, no nasties in it. It's going to taste fantastic, and you know what? It's a perfect midweek treat without having to call up your local takeaway. It's going to taste better. It's better for you, and yeah, it's something I think you should try. And again, this recipe was in my veggie Chinese takeaway cookbook. There's about 90 recipes of similar, just like this one. Completely vegetarian and vegan if you didn't use the oyster sauce or the egg noodles. But then if you don't want to use the egg noodles, you can use soba noodles, you can use some udon noodles, you can use rice noodles. We did the pad thai the other day. So you know, there are lots of variations if you are completely vegan, so you can do these. Please do give it a go. I'm going to go and grab the camera and give you a quick close-up of this, and then what we might do again is just 5 minutes Q&A if you want to ask me some questions. All right. So that's mushroom lo mein. You can see it's a little bit wetter than you would normally get with a chow mein.